Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode. In this episode, I'm going to be sharing the 7 books that I believe every entrepreneur should read. Some of the books are classic, and I generally have read all of them and would highly recommend them all. The first book that I would recommend is The E Myth. The E Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. This is a book that changed my life when I first started my business because the book is all about why small businesses don't work and what to do about it. And in this book, the author basically talks about how the small business owner tries to be everything. And the truth is, when you start a business, you do have to play all the roles. You have to be the manager, you have to be the entrepreneur, you have to be the technician. But what Michael does in this book is that he explains how you don't just have to remain in those roles, but you need to transcend. And the way you transcend is to set systems in place. So if you are new in your business and you want to know how to begin to put systems in place for every area of your book, then I would highly recommend this book. The second book on my list is, of course, Think and Grow Rich. This book was really life changing for me when I first read it. And in fact, I must say, I've read it several times and also listened to the audio version several times. This book by Napoleon Hill is all about how you and I can literally grow rich by thinking. In this book, Napoleon Hill was commissioned to interview some of the most successful entrepreneurs of his age, and he was able to distill their ideas and put their ideas in this book. It's a book that will really help you if you are new in business to begin to think. I know they say thinking is the hardest job there is, but if you can begin to think on how you can grow your business, how you can double your income, how you can be effective in your business, then this book will teach you how. So if you are an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, I would highly recommend this book. The third book on my list is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. The reason why I would recommend this book is because when you start your business, you need to be highly focused. You need to how to be able to prioritize between the important things, the urgent things, the non-urgent things, and so forth. And this book will show you how you can become effective because as an entrepreneur, there will be many demands on your time. And I feel that this book will help you to be able to be focused. It will help you to be able to prioritize and know which task you need to prioritize. Therefore, I would highly recommend this book. The fourth book on my list is, of course, The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas J. Stanley, The Surprising Secrets of America's Wealthy. I love this book so much because the findings are so surprising. In this book, the authors did a research of the average millionaire in America, and they found certain information about them, which was that they did not live lavish lives. They were ordinary people who lived in houses you wouldn't even think were necessarily the houses of millionaires. In other words, they were just ordinary people, the average kind of Joe on the street, and yet they were millionaires. When you read this book, it makes you to realize that just because one may be a millionaire doesn't mean one has to live lavishly, doesn't mean one has to have the biggest house in the neighborhood, doesn't mean one has to drive the biggest car, because all the millionaires or most of the millionaires they surveyed were just average people with their businesses. And so I just love the findings of the book, and it makes you really feel humble, and you realize from this book that yes, you can aspire to be a millionaire, yes, you can be a millionaire and still be yourself. You don't have to try to be more than who you are. So that's why I would recommend this book. The fifth book on my list is The Automatic Millionaire, a powerful one-step plan to live and finish rich by David Buck. The reason why I would recommend this book is because when I first read this book, it changed my life. Why did it change my life? In this book, David Buck talks about the fact that all of us can become millionaires by putting certain systems in place. He talks about taxes and how you and I can be tax efficient. For example, let's just say you work for someone, you're currently in employment. You can actually decide to pay for more money towards your pension than the amount of money that they automatically deduct. And when you do that, he explains that that money is not taxed. Therefore, you can actually reduce your tax burden. And in the end, you end up having more money in your pension. When I read that, I actually implemented it. I contacted my employer because at the time when I read it, I was still in full-time employment. I contacted my HR and I was able to set up a private pension in addition to my company pension. And now whenever I get the statement and it's telling me how much I have in addition to my company pension, it makes me feel super joyful. In this book, David Buck shares so many different ways in which you can automate your finances. You can automate your savings, you can automate your investments, and so forth. So for any entrepreneur who wants to know how to automate their finances, I think this is one of the best books that can help you to do that. The sixth book on my list is, of course, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Who hasn't read this book? I do believe not everybody may have read the book, but even if you've read it, I would say still revisit it, because in this book, the author, Robert Kiyosaki, teaches you what the rich teach their kids about money that the poor and middle class do not. You read the book and you learn the quadrants. Okay, Robert Kiyosaki talks about the fact that most of us we start off as employed, and then we become self-employed, then we become a business owner. But where we should all be aspiring for is to be an investor. So when you read the book, I feel that as a business owner, it helps you to see where you are on the quadrant, and you can basically transition to that of the investor, because the whole purpose of you having a business is to make enough money so you can invest. So I think it will just really help to frame your mind about the purpose of your business, which is why I would recommend this book. And last but by no means least, the last book on my list is The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. Who hasn't read this book? I mean, I've read this book, I've listened to this book, and it's a book that I go to on a regular basis, because in this book we learn the secrets of becoming rich. In the book, the story talks about Arcad, who was the richest man in Babylon, and how though he started off not very rich, in fact, he started off super, super poor, but he was able to learn, he was able to gain wisdom, and he was able to essentially become rich. And not only rich, but the richest man in Babylon. And we learn about the secrets of how he became rich. So I feel that for any entrepreneur who wants to increase in your wealth, who wants to increase in your business, this book will help to put you in the right frame of mind. The wisdom of our I think is something that we can all implement in this day and age. So that is my final book. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've liked it, please like it, please share it, please leave your comments. Let me know if there are other books that you want me to review, or indeed any other videos you would like to hear from me. I would also put the link for all these books in the description so that you can read up on them, or at least you can listen to them via audio on YouTube. So that's all for now. Take care. Bye bye.